As Americans, we must never give up the ability to produce that which we consume. How very important that is to the American consumer remains first and foremost.
In 1972, an up-and-coming rancher sat listening to Hugh A. Rant Jr. talk about agriculture in the state of Mississippi and the special role Farm Bureau members play as the voice of agriculture. It was that moment David Waide knew his life would take an interesting path.
Well, he was the one that inspired my thought about Farm Bureau and not quite being as effective as I'd like to see it be for rural people in the state. He was a stereotype that you could depend on because you knew he was for agriculture. And he was an individual that wanted to see ag do well and knew what role it played in Mississippi's politics.
From then, this Clay County cattleman would lead the County Farm Bureau. Waide began making a name for himself as no-nonsense, honest, and hardworking, 3 traits that would help him as he was elected the 8th president of the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation in 1996.
David Waide was elected president of the Farm Bureau Federation.
I came up working pretty hard all my life, and they just never broke the habit. This was kind of my driving focus when I ran for election the first time. I always felt like the Farm Bureau had such an obvious role to play in agriculture, and my thought was that it wasn't fulfilling that role to the full extent.
Waide is seen as the right leader at the right time for the Federation because his 14 years of service as president would be marked by many huge events, not only in the organization's history, but in our nation's as well.
You know, the top of the World Trade Center maybe is about 1,500 feet, and then it goes up another 200, 300 feet with the antenna.
Oh my God, Ed, another plane just hit the World Trade Center. Another plane. It was a medium-sized plane. Unbelievable. It would look like, oh my God.
The attack on the World Trade Center showed just how important maintaining a domestic food supply is to our nation's security.
I am a fan of us as a nation staying superior in food production and being able to export that product so that the farm community can benefit. You know, we can secure the nation's energy needs through agriculture if we make our mind up. Some people would argue that it's not sustainable, but I would argue that it is. And I don't see why it's not. If we can get the resources to produce the crops it takes to produce the energy that we need.
Then, the nation's most devastating natural disaster.
And we have winds right now around 70 miles per hour. Wind gusts coming around near New Orleans around 80 miles per hour. And all these winds are going to be pinwheeling in here over the next 3 to 4 hours. Storm surge coming in up to 25 to 30 feet coming in on the entire coast of Mississippi here. And this is going to be very, very bad here in the next few hours.
Hurricane Katrina destroyed so much when it blew ashore in August 2005, Farm Bureau insurance almost did not recover.
We had $200 million more insurance coverage than we'd ever needed, but we'd never had a Katrina. And nobody can tell what the next one will be. And so you've got to plan on worst case scenarios, and you got a better footing now than we have had, or than we did have when Katrina occurred.
The way he presented himself was with strength that we're going to figure out a way to make sure this we get this done, that Farm Bureau is too important to fail. And he worked every day to make sure that we got a little bit better and a little bit better. And thank goodness today we're a much stronger company than we were even before Hurricane Katrina hit.
Just like that day Waide heard Hugh A. Rant speak, another cattleman, this one from Jefferson County, knew he was called to be more for Mississippi agriculture after he heard President Waide speak at the Mississippi Farm Bureau annual convention.
I was a little young county president in Jefferson County and was invited to come to the state convention here, and it was the first time I'd seen Mr. Waide or heard him speak. And it was obviously somebody I admired because I knew his heart was in the right place, and you could see the way he went about his business as being something that was going to help our farmers here in the state and help this organization.
David Waide also stood fast for agriculture at the state capitol, fighting for private property rights and the government's taking of private property through eminent domain. Waide and the Federation staff gathered signatures over a 2-year period for Initiative 31 to appear on the November 2011 ballot. The referendum passed, making Mississippi the 44th state to restrict eminent domain for private development.
It wasn't something that I could do by myself. In order to do that, I knew you had to have people that understood what made agriculture work. And of course, I set out to accomplish that, and I guess in the end, we ended up with a pretty good record.
In 2022, Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation's 100th year, Waide says the organization is needed now more than ever.
It's got roots all over the state of Mississippi. There's an office in every county. It's got connections in Washington. It's got superior legislative ability here in its home state. Farmers can't be independent. That we've got to work within the system, and we can't just go do what we want. I understand how the system works. Mike understands how the system works. And you've got to have that voice to convey your message from the rural areas of this state. I think it's just really important that we never lose touch with even our members that they only participate in agriculture 3 times a day when they eat.
So, as the two presidents who've led Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation for nearly a quarter of a century think about the organization's next 100 years, they see new opportunities on the horizon.
We could put different type students back on the farm, because it's not the days of your grandfather's farms with overalls and hoes and plows and mules. It's an extremely technology-based occupation. They're going to have to be experts at accounting and finance and technology. We'll have 10 billion people on the planet by 2050, and we're going to have a lot of diverse kind of jobs to figure out how we feed all those people.